Hello, and welcome to my session, the 12 Days of Azure Arcness. I am ready to go. Got my iced tea, got my hot and spicy cashews. So let's get this presentation started. My name is Christopher Turner. I am a Microsoft MVP living in Texas. My interests range from technologies, specifically hybrid cloud technologies, to homesteading. I love spending time with my family, my three boys. I love spending time in my woodshop and making wood things like furnitures and those type of wood things, cute little toys, a whole bunch of other things. My son really loves to do pins and pepper shakers, and he's getting really good. So one day, check out my website and buy some pins for my son. Shameless plug number one. Anyway, and of course, Texas barbecue, slow and low, the only type of barbecue that exists. Anyway, if you have questions about my session today, reach out to me on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn address is on this site, and of course my blog as well. This is my demo.cloud, and I'll respond to most questions if I have time or if I remember and don't forget. Anyway, looking forward. Let's continue this presentation. So let's check out the agenda for today's session. And to keep into the season, I have made my agenda the song, The 12 Days of Arcmas, to the tune of the 12 Days of Christmas. So I hope you enjoy this little bitty, tiny singing attempt from me. So let's try this. And please, I hope we lose this video soon, very soon. La 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 la, la 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 la. On the first day of Arcmas, Azure granted to me a console and a cloud tree, where management centralized for all to see. On the second day of Arcmas, Azure sent to me 2 clusters flexing, a console and a cloud tree. On the third day of Arcmas, Azure gifted to me 3 services scaling, 2 clusters flexing, and a console and a cloud tree. On the fourth day of Arcmas, Azure offered me 4 nodes are connecting, 3 services scaling, 2 clusters flexing, and a console and a cloud tree. On the 5th day of Arcmas, Azure saved me 5 golden savings, 4 nodes connecting, 3 services scaling, 2 clusters flexing, and a console and a cloud tree. I'm going to save you guys all some punishment, and I'm just going to read this out real fast. So our first subject, of course, is the first day of Arcmas, a council and a cloud tree, where management is centralized for all to see. On the second day of Arcmas, Azure sent to me 2 clusters flexing, managed from Azure, yet running so free. On the third day of Arcmas, Azure gifted to me 3 services scaling, Azure SQL with no downtime filling. On the fourth day of Arcmas, Azure offered me 4 nodes connecting, a variety of choices for info selecting. On the 5th day of Arcmas, Azure saved for me 5 golden savings. We're going to talk about cost management here. On the 6th day of Arcmas, Azure showed to me 6 apps deploying, innovation at its finest for productive employing. On the 7th day of Arcmas, Azure secured me 7 policy ringing. This is a big one. This is going to talk about governance across clouds and security and all that fun good stuff. On the 8th day of Arcmas, Azure carved for me 8 custom locations. We're going to talk about custom locations both in Kubernetes and within the portal itself. And then on the 9th day of Arcmas, Azure eased for me 9 devs of dancing. We're going to talk about DevOps and stuff within Azure Arc. And then on the 10th day of Azure Arcmas, Azure bridged for me 10 clouds of connecting, multiple cloud strategies with seamless projecting. On the 11th day of Arcmas, Azure monitored me. We're going to talk about, of course, Azure Monitor, container insights, VM insights, things like that go along with Azure Arc. And then on the 12th day of Azure Arcmas, Azure cheered with me. We're going to talk about 12 drums cheering and some of the success stories and some of the scenarios that we could create with Azure Arc and help you be successful with Azure Arc. And then, of course, the chorus, which I'm not going to sing anymore, but this is it. This is the gift. This is my agenda for today, and I hope we have some fun. Let's continue on. We're going one more time. On the 12th day of Artemis, Azure cheered with me. 12 drums of chants celebrating. 11 logs of streaming. 10 clouds connecting. 9 devs of dancing. 8 custom locations. 7 policies ringing. 6 apps deploying. 5 golden savings. 4 nodes connecting. 3 service scaling. 2 clusters flexing. And a console in a cloud tree. Yes, that is the 12 days of Azure Artemis, sung to you by yours truly. I won't do it again. Let's continue this presentation. So what is Azure Arc? Let's get that out of the way before I continue my session here. So I went to a trusted source, highly trusted source, and I asked that person, that entity, that thing, whatever you want to call it, I asked it, what is Azure Arc? And explain to me what Azure Arc is. And of course, this very wise individual once said, Azure Arc provides a consistent management experience, bringing Azure services to infrastructure across multiple clouds, your on-premise environment, and the edge. Just like the 12 days of Christmas gives us the unique and memorial gifts, Azure Arc is going to deliver a suite of gifts to you and your IT management needs from the great and mighty ChatGPT. Let's continue this conversation on the next slide. Okay, let's get this presentation going. So on the first day of Arcness, Azure granted to me a console and a cloud tree where management's centralized for all of us to see. So that's the theme for this specific topic for day one, is centralized management, a single management plane for us to use. Some of the points here we're going to talk about are how, one, a single control plane across environments, unified control, unified management experience, a single management unity, and of course, Azure services, and that way you can manage, and your management capabilities are extended with no bounds using Azure Arc. So like the song went, the original song was, day one you got a partridge in a pear tree. So Azure Arc acts as that partridge in the pear tree, symbolizing the central figure in your environment's management. Pretty good, right? I didn't come up with that on my own, just to show. But that was still pretty good. That's why I included it. So let's just cover this real fast. So day one, centralized management with Azure Arc. Azure Arc's role in centralized management, of course, a unified control plane across all environments. That includes multi-cloud platforms like AWS, Google Cloud Platform, your edge solutions, IoT Edge, things like that. And edge, we all know, can mean a lot of different things. Of course, on-premise environments, your own private cloud, your own data centers, and things like that. Another one of Azure roles in centralized management is projecting non-Azure resources into Azure Resource Manager. So one of Azure's Arc's key features is the ability to project non-Azure and on-premise resources into Azure Resource Manager, ARM. That means we could manage these resources using the same Azure-based tools and interfaces that we use for Azure resources today, basically achieving consistent management experience, which that leads us to be able to leverage familiar Azure services, as I mentioned, in diverse environments. So with Azure Arc, resources located outside of Azure can be managed as if you're familiar with Azure, you're familiar with Azure resources services, right? This includes the capabilities to use Azure Monitor for monitoring and analytics. My brain is dead. Windows Defender for Cloud, services like that for unified security management. And of course, the big one that I like to talk about is Azure Policy for making sure and ensuring compliance and governance across all your resources, across your entire estate, no matter where those resources are living. They could, like I said, mentioned before, AWS, GCP, on-premise solutions, et cetera, and et cetera. And then, of course, Azure Arc's Unified Management Portal serves basically as a one-stop shop for viewing and managing all your resources, no matter where they reside. So some of the benefits here, let's talk about them for fast. Simplified IT operations, consistency in management and governance, um, increased operational efficiency, and of course, enhanced visibility and control. Those are some of the practical implications and benefits of using Azure Arc and taking advantage of a centralized management tool like Azure Arc. So basically, under day one, which focuses on centralized management, several key Azure Arc services play a crucial role. These services enable Azure Arc's ability to extend Azure management's capabilities to environments outside of Azure. So let's break down some of the relevant Azure services and Azure Arc services that you might use, or what I consider are services that will be what I consider services for day one for centralized management. The top one that it's going to come to mind, of course, is Azure Arc for Servers. This allows you to manage your virtual machines running Windows, Linux, located whether on-premise or in other clouds, so as if they were Azure resources. Key features for this, of course, would be including and organizing, assigning tags, applying policies, monitoring the health, and of course, performance of these machines using various Azure resources and other Azure services. Another one of the Arc services that could fall under day one would be Azure Arc for Kubernetes. Or the proper term would be, of course, Azure Arc enabled Kubernetes. This will extend Azure management to any of the CNCF, I'm trying to think of the name for this, Cloud something Cloud Foundation Kubernetes cluster. This includes clusters running in other public clouds, of course, on-premise and on the edge as well. Some of the key features here, of course, would give us the ability to enable deployment of applications and configurations using GitOps-based configuration management, applying Azure policies to these Kubernetes clusters. Of course, integration with Azure Monitor, which includes Container Insights, and of course, Defender for Cloud, Sentinel, things like that. We also have Azure Arc for Data Service, Azure Arc enabled data services, Azure Arc enabled machine learning, and of course, there's Azure Arc for app services as well. That could kind of all fall under this day one centralized management theme that we're talking about at this point. So the key message I want to give and really stress for day one centralized management, of course, Azure Arc provides a single control plane for managing resources on-premise, in multi-cloud environments, and on the edge, in the edge environments. As they say, one management plane to rule them all, right? So let's go on to my next slide, because I could talk about this all day. Well, how about that? Demo time. So let's get on with our demo. Okay, so sorry, hot and spicy cashew. Very good, very good. But anyway, day two, on the second day of Arcmas, Azure sent to me 2 clusters flexing, managed by Azure, yet running so free. Also, the song itself is on the second day of Arcmas, Azure gifted to me 2 total devs. So keep in mind, that's what I'm going to talk about. Let's go on here, buddies. So, what are we talking about here? Day 2, 2 types of clusters. Those clusters, of course, Kubernetes clusters and Azure Data Services, which basically runs on Kubernetes. So, it should actually be one type of cluster. Don't ask me why I put that there, but it sounded good. Day 2, 2 types of clusters. So anyway, kind of the points we're going to make today on this presentation. On this day 2, is we're talking about Kubernetes and Azure Data Service Management, anywhere operations, and of course, seamless cloud-native app experience using Azure Arc enabled Kubernetes and Azure Arc enabled data services. So let's kind of jump into day 2 and 2 types of clusters. The Azure Arc's integration, of course, as I mentioned, with Kubernetes and Azure Data Services. So Kubernetes clusters, which are managed with Azure Arc, what we call Azure Arc enabled Kubernetes, Some of the functionality around that, of course, Azure Arc allows you to attach and configure Kubernetes clusters locally, or located anywhere, basically. So you could have Kubernetes clusters running in AWS. You could have Kubernetes clusters running in GCP. You could have Kubernetes clusters running on-prem. It doesn't have to be AKS. Preferably it will be, hopefully, at least if it's running on HCI. That comes later. We could be running EKS. I think that's Elastic Kubernetes Service in AWS. GK something, Google Kubernetes something. I think OpenShift running on-prem, things like that. So any kind of that cloud-native, Cloud Foundation certified Kubernetes platform, Azure Arc Kubernetes enabled, excuse me, Azure Arc enabled Kubernetes will be able to manage and manage. That's easy to say, right? Manage. Anyway, some of the key features for managing Kubernetes clusters using Azure Arc, of course, is that consistent deployment and management experience. So being able to use Azure Arc to deploy applications and configurations across any Kubernetes cluster using GitOps practices, basically. So unified policy enforcement is the key. Implement Azure policies across all your Kubernetes. Sorry with the hands. I'm a hand speaker. So, and I'll try to do this, when I get nervous. Saturday Night Live, that one. Anyway, but anyway, let me repeat this. Let me start this back, and let's focus on this presentation. So, unified policy enforcement, right? Implement Azure policies across all your Kubernetes clusters for consistent governance and compliance is a huge. And the third one I'm going to call out for, that's a huge key feature, is monitoring and insights. So be able to leverage Azure Monitor to gather metrics and logs from any of your Kubernetes clusters, from any platform, to basically see performance insights and operation efficiency. So being able to use container insights and Azure Monitor is a very big key here. So Azure Data Services for Kubernetes are Azure Arc for data services is all, which I guess I can actually call it Azure Data Service on Kubernetes, because you are deploying Azure Data Services on top of Kubernetes anyway. So anyway, enough of that. Functionality, of course, with Azure Arc, this enables running Azure Data Services like Azure SQL Managed Instances and Azure databases for I always mispronounce this. I'm sorry for those people who love this product. PostgreSQL on any Kubernetes cluster. And I'm going to say it over and over again, on any cloud, AWS, GCP, your private cloud, your VMware private clouds, on-prem, hopefully which you're moving over to HCI soon. Talk to me about that. I can help you with that. Anyway, so let's talk about some of the key features of Azure Data Services on Kubernetes. So elastic scaling, automatically scale resources to match your workloads, just like you can with Azure SQL Managed Instances in Azure. You can do that too with the same Azure SQL Managed Instances running on-prem. Update management, applying patches and things like that to your data services seamlessly without downtime is huge. And then, of course, hybrid flexibility. You can run these services, and I'm going to stress this point all throughout this presentation. You're going to be tired of hearing it, but you can run these services on-prem, premises, or how do you say it, in the cloud, at the edge, while maintaining consistent experience and a centralized management. That's the theme. That's what I want to get pounded in my head and your head. By the end of this presentation, you're going to hear me say that like 5,000 times. Forgive me. It's Christmas, right? Sad dog eyes. Yes. Sad dog eyes. So let's talk about some of the practical implications and benefits to the Azure Data Services on Kubernetes and managing Kubernetes using Azure Arc enabled Kubernetes. All part of the day two type of clusters, right? Day two types of clusters. So we have a consistent cloud native deployment using Azure Arc gives us that simplifies the deployment of cloud native applications by providing that uniform environment across all Kubernetes clusters. Developers can use the same APIs and the same tool sets that they currently use now that they're accustomed to in Azure. That's the key. Another benefit is operational efficiency, flexibility, and portability, and then of course the enhanced data management. So I guess at the end of the slide, the one thing I want to come across, two key messages here for day two and two types of clusters is Azure Arc enables consistent development and operations for cloud-native applications on any Kubernetes platform, as long as it's CNCF compliant Kubernetes deployment. And of course, number two, Azure Arc's flexibility allows you to manage these clusters and services as if they were running in Azure, no matter of their location. That's what I want to dig into and focus for day two. So day two, two types of clusters. And the one thing I forgot to stress also is in the original song, it was two turtle doves, right? And why do we represent two turtle doves? And of course, the two types of clusters. So two turtle doves symbolizes partnership and harmony, which parallels the integration of Kubernetes and Azure services. Wow, blows my mind. Again, I did not come for that, but it was awesome, right? Let's go on to our demo. So demo time. So day three, on the third day of Arcmas, Azure gifted me 3 surfaces scaling, Azure SQL and PostgreSQL with no downtime filling. As in the original song, on day 3, my true love gave to me 3 French hens, which let's correlate between 3 French hens and what it has to do with 3 surfaces scaling. These 3 French hens, could be depicted as gathering data, symbolizing the collection of insights. And I did read that off, and I just let you know, I wasn't planning on reading that, and that's why I'm looking over here. But anyway, let's continue on with this slide, right? So let's go over 3 points real fast. So in this slide, we're going to talk about data services, Azure data services on any Kubernetes. We kind of mentioned that in the other day, but we're going to expound on that again. Elastic scale and update management, and of course, the integration with Azure machine learning. Those are the 3 key points that I'm going to try to cover on day 3 under data insights. So as I mentioned before, 3 French hens symbolizes the rich data insights, representing Azure SQL managed instances, Azure databases for PostgreSQL, among other services. So let's just kind of jump into this, and let's see what can I mention with this slide here. So Azure Arc's role in extending data services, correct? So running Azure data services anywhere. The functionality, of course, we can call out Azure Arc will allow you to run Azure data services like Azure SQL managed instances and Azure databases for PostgreSQL on any Kubernetes cluster outside of Azure. I'm beginning to realize that some of this is repeated from the last slide, but I'm too far into this to start over, so forgive me. Some of the key benefits, of course, the location flexibility. You can run these services on premise, in other clouds, on the edge, depending on your business needs. And then, of course, has that consistent Azure experience. Manage these services with the same tools, the same capabilities, as if you're using Azure services and Azure tools. Basically ensuring that unified management and deployment experience. One of the second points that I want to make around running Azure data services anywhere, of course, is the elastic scale and the seamless update of these services. So just like you could do in Azure, you could scale elastically, which of course, I'm not sure if that's the actual terminology for it, but basically you can automatically adjust computing resources based off the workload demand. So based off of utilization and performance, things like that on your prem Azure data services, if they're running on-prem, if they're running in other clouds, etc. Of course, seamless updates. That's very key important. You can update these services without having any downtime. That's huge. Just like you do the same with these services in Azure, these services running on-prem in your local data centers on the edge can be done the same. And then number three, let's talk about Azure Machine Learning and integration. With Azure Arc, you can leverage Azure Machine Learning capabilities on any any Kubernetes cluster, of course, including those outside of Azure. Well, that's going to be drilled into our heads by the time this presentation is over. Some of the benefits, of course, is training modules anywhere. Execute machine learning training closer to where your data resides, right? So your data is not always going to be in Azure. Your data is not always going to be. You're going to have some of this data on the edge. You're going to have some of this data in other clouds. Let's face it, right? So to be able to train these modules anywhere is going to be key. So being able to run these data services on-prem where some of your data resides, specifically if you're in specific industries where that data can't be in the cloud, to specific government organizations and specific other entities that might have data that can't go to the cloud, or you might have data in the cloud that needs to be trained, not the cloud, but on the edge it needs to be trained for specific reasons. That's a huge benefit. That's a huge key benefit. Train models anywhere, closer to where that data resides, especially if you're latency sensitive data, and of course, huge workloads. So that's a big bonus. And of course, unified management, manage and monitor machine learning models using the Azure toolsets, regardless of where these or wherever the training occurs. Correct. So some of the practical implications and some of the benefits, of course, are real-time data processing at the edge. For scenarios like IoT, where data is generated at the edge, Azure Arc enables the real-time processing and insights by running data services closer to that data source. That's huge. Data sovereignty and compliance, of course, I've mentioned that a minute ago. Some of that data cannot reside in Azure, or they can't reside with specific regions in Azure, or you might have to have it confined to a certain country or specific physical location. Being able to run some of these data services in those areas and still take advantage of the Azure services is huge, right? And then, of course, another benefit, of course, is hybrid data analytics. So Azure Arc facilitates hybrid data scenarios. Sorry for saying so many times. My brain is not working. I'm getting Christmas fever. Is that a thing? Christmas fever? Anyway, so let's talk about Azure Hybrid Data Analytics. So Azure Arc facilitates that hybrid data scenario where some of the data resides on-premise and other data is in the cloud. This setup provides a comprehensive view and a way to analyze this data for all the data that's available, right? And of course, cost-effective data management. By bringing Azure Data Services to where the data already exists, huge. Organizations like yours, like mine, can avoid that data movement cost. It can reduce latency, leading to more efficient and cost-effective data management. Money, ching, ching, ching. The bean pushers love that line. Bing. So as I mentioned, for day three, beautiful day three, data insights. This is what we focus on, data insights. Specific Azure Arc services that are kind of relevant to day three. These services kind of underscore Azure Arc's capabilities, enhancing data management and analytics in various environments. And I love to say various environments, and I'm going to say it on-prem, in other clouds, on the edge. There, I said it. I'm going to say it again and again and again. But anyway, I prosgressed. That's not a word. That's a good pun. Anyway, so some of these environments, of course, and some of these things that Azure could help out with, of course, some of the services that are going to lead to helping out with these solutions, of course. I'm just yapping. Sorry. Azure Arc enabled data services, Azure Arc enabled machine learning, and then, of course, Azure Arc enabled SQL Server. That's one thing that I did not talk about. Because unlike Azure Arc enabled data services, Azure Arc enabled SQL Server is actually slightly different, but it does fall into day three of data insights. So let's talk about Azure Arc enabled SQL Server, which is different than Azure Arc enabled data services. So data services or basically that's going to extend Azure Data Services to Kubernetes. It's going to extend services like Azure SQL Managed Instances, Azure Databases for PostgreSQL, and give you that Azure service like fill for those managed instances on-prem. Azure Arc enabled SQL Server is more of a management tool for your existing SQL Server databases that are running on physical or virtual SQL servers on-prem and other places like that. So this basically extends the Azure management capabilities to your on-prem SQL services running in your hybrid environments. So this gives us the ability to manage those SQL server instances with Azure security and management features to integrate Azure services like Azure Monitor, Defender for Cloud, for more insights and security and things like that. Also to be able to run that SQL analyzing tool, and I'm sorry I don't have it written down. And I think now, forgive me, I do not know. I should check this. I should probably have checked this before I started the presentation. The ability to also patch SQL servers running on-prem as well. Or maybe that's on the roadmap. I'll look that up and I'll put like a little asterisk or something somewhere. I don't know. Anyway, what time is it? It's demo time. That's probably the best time of the day, demo time. You know, I am from Waco, and there are a famous couple here in Waco with a famous television show, and one of his famous lines in that television show is, "It's demo time." So, it's demo time. So it's day 4th. On the 4th day of Arc Mess, Azure offered me 4 nodes connecting, a variety of choices for infra selecting. Oh, this is a good one, mainly because it covers Azure Stack HCI. And that is my life right now. It is, really is. And hopefully one day it's going to be your life too. But anyway, I am done with my rabbit trail squirrel thing. Let's move on. So, of course, before I move on the 4th day of Arcness, Azure brought to me 4 calling birds. With flexible infrastructure, we agree. That was the original title for this slide. But it comes into play here soon. Very soon. So the 4 calling birds stand for the various infrastructure and connectivity options Azure supports, symbolizing communication and flexibility. Again, I didn't come up with that, but it's very good. Some of the points I want to cover for day 4, of course, is the variety of hardware and the virtualization platforms that Azure can run on, the multiple connectivity options, and of course, the variety of workloads running on Windows servers, Linux, VMware, vSphere, or Azure HCI. So what is Azure Arc's role in infrastructure and connectivity? Let's find out. So the first point I want to make is how it supports and its support for diverse environments. So Azure Arc is designed to manage a wide range of hardware and virtualization platforms. This includes support for popular environments like Windows Server, Linux operating systems, VMware vSphere, and Azure HCI. Some of the benefits that we could cover here is the flexibility and deployment. So organizations like mine, organizations like yours, can choose the best suited environment for the workloads, whether it's on-premise, on-premise servers, I'm going to say it again, cloud instances, or edge instances. So it has a broad compatibility, right? Azure Arc supports for various platforms, ensure that compatibility with the existing infrastructure, reduce for the need for drastic changes or investments, which is key when we're talking about the bean pushers. So let's cover kind of the connectivity options real fast. So the functionality that Azure Arc provides, of course, is the multiple methods to connect resources to Azure. Basically, different network setups and requirements. We're talking about direct internet connection. The agent could communicate directly to the internet through public internet. For environments with direct internet access, of course. Then, of course, we have the capability of doing VPN tunnels to Azure, which enables you to do secure connection over public networks. And then, of course, ExpressRoute and the private connections between Azure data centers and infrastructure and your data centers or your offices, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Being able to employ and communicate through private endpoints and private links now at this point using like the VPN and ExpressRoutes gives you that added security in communication as well. So some of the benefits, of course, is the versatile connectivity, ensuring that those resources can be managed through Azure Arc regardless of their network situation. The security and performance benefits, of course, offering solutions ranging from highly secure VPN and ExpressRoutes connections to adaptable, and of course, adaptable. I don't know what to call it, catering to various security and performance needs, I guess you could say. Don't really know that, but I might take that out because it's a blender, or I might just leave it in because I'm lazy and I don't want to edit this. So, I didn't want to edit this, so I'm just going to continue. So what are the practical implications and benefits, of course, when we're talking about connectivity options and infrastructure options with Azure Arc? So first one I want to talk about, of course, is adaptability to the organization's needs. If you're like my organization or any organization out there, a lot of us already have infrastructure in place. We don't want to go out and buy new infrastructure. We don't want we can't move to the cloud yet, or they might just don't want to move to the cloud yet. And we still have investments in infrastructure that is not old, right? That's our infrastructure. That's sitting on-prem, sitting in a data center, being co-located at companies like mine, for example, et cetera, and et cetera. So that adaptability for your organization, for my organization's need, Azure Arc is flexible, right? Flexible infrastructure, which supports and allows my organization, your organization, to continue to use our existing hardware and, of course, software investments, while still benefiting from Azure Management Services and the Azure Management capabilities. That's huge. So that's a huge bullet point benefit for using Azure Arc and using our own infrastructure. And here we go again. This is my favorite line. I'm going to pound it in here. Seamless hybrid operations. What's coming? What's coming? Wait for it. By allowing for variations of connectivity options. So Azure Arc, I went brain dead. What was I thinking? Oh, Azure Arc ensures that seamless operation of our hybrid environments. My organization, your organization, can manage our on-premises, our multi-cloud, or our edge resources as Azure resources. I love, and I'm going to say that. I'm not going to get tired of saying that because that's awesome. Yeah, that is awesome, and you know it. Of course, another benefit, of course, is enhanced infrastructure management, and then of cost effectiveness. Cost effectiveness is huge, and that's going to be another day coming up here soon. And why is cost effective? What's the point? What's the benefit of cost effectiveness? So basically, flexibility in infrastructure, right? We've already talked about flexibility and connectivity means my organization, your organization, can optimize our IT spending. We could choose the most cost-effective environment for each of our workloads. Some of those workloads don't need to be in Azure or GCP or AWS. It might be cheaper to run on-prem. Let's be honest here. The cloud is not 100% solution for everyone. It's expensive. I don't care who you are. It's expensive. There, up my platform. Because I am a fog guy. I'm a private cloud guy. I do appreciate Azure. I do appreciate GCP. I do appreciate AWS. Oracle, whatever clouds out there, they all have their role. But let's be honest, they're expensive, and some workloads could run cheaper on-prem. So we might want to choose that most cost-effective environment, right, for those workloads. And then, of course, the unnecessary investment in new infrastructure to be able to support some of those cloud-native tool sets. So with Azure Arc, that's a huge benefit for cost-effectiveness. So off of my little bandwagon, is that a bandwagon? Whatever you want to call it. Soap, dish, stool, I don't know. Anyway, so for day 4 of this of our presentation, we're focused on flexible infrastructure and connectivity. So several Azure Arc services and related Azure offerings play a pivotal role here. These services and features emphasize Azure Arc's ability to seamlessly integrate with diverse infrastructure environments, and of course the various connectivity options. So here's kind of a breakdown of some of the relevant services and features that I kind of grouped together that would be considered flexible infrastructure under day 4. The first one, and this is my current baby, my current work project. I cuddle it, I sleep with it, I dream about it. It is my BFF, Azure Stack HCI. What is Azure Stack HCI? Well, it's a hyper-converged infrastructure solution for running virtualized workloads in a hybrid environment. That is the simple way to say it. It's a lot more than that. It has an integration with Azure Arc natively. Azure Arc can manage Azure Stack HCI. Well, it is managing Azure Stack HCI. And it allows that consistent operation across cloud and on-premises environments. It helps facilitate the deployment and manage of Windows and Linux virtual workloads, AKS, Azure virtual desktops, much more. That's the whole topic on its own that I would love to talk about. If you have questions about Azure Stack HCI, there's a lot of good resources out there, a lot of really smart people out there. And anyway, let's go on to the next one. Another service that I didn't really touch, of course, is the Azure Arc-enabled VMware vSphere, which is kind of huge because, of course, VMware is probably one of the most prevalent private virtualized environments out there on-prem. So Azure Arc-enabled VMware vSphere allows you to manage your VMware vSphere virtual machines through Azure Arc as if they were native Azure VMs. The service bridges Azure services and management capabilities in VMware environments, providing a unified operational model, right? So again, just like Azure Stack HCI, there's a centralized management, manage VMware vSphere VMs, just like you would manage HCI VMs alongside Azure VMs in the Azure portal, offering a single pane for all your virtual machines. Policy and governance is huge, just like policy and governance. This is going to go both with HCI and vSphere. So applying Azure governance and policy management capabilities to your VMware vSphere VMs, ensuring that they're compliant and consistent with your operational practices. So if you have regulatory demands or concerns, things like that. Integration with Azure services like Windows Defender for Cloud, Microsoft Sentinel, Azure Monitor, Azure Backups for your VMware infrastructure, Azure Site Recovery, of course. So enhancing monitoring, security, and resiliency of your VMs. That right there is a huge benefit for Azure Arc-enabled VMware vSphere, and of course, Azure Arc-enabled VMs for HCI as well. So speaking of Azure Arc for virtual machine management, let's talk about that. And that will be the last section of that I'm going to talk about for day 4. So Azure Arc allows you to manage your non-Azure VMs as if they were active or native Azure VMs. This includes VMs running on on-premise environments, other cloud platforms, or at the edge. So it also extends Azure management and governance capabilities to these VMs, enabling a consistent management experience across your entire estate. That was just kind of like the marketing thing. So, ending on this slide, the key messages I want to focus on, or of course, focus on Azure's flexibility, Azure Arc flexibility in infrastructure choices, and its wide range of connectivity options. And of course, I really want to stress how Azure Arc facilitates a cohesive environment regardless of the heterogeneity of the infrastructure, right? Those are the 2 key messages I want to leave on this slide here. Before I go to, of course, what time is it? It's demo time. So day 5, on the 5th day of Arcmas, Azure saved for me 5 golden savings, hybrid benefits that aren't quite engraving. Let's go. This one is important for your management, for your C-level people, for the people that count the beans, the people who pay the bills, because this presentation, this day 5 is all going to be about cost optimization. So let's get on with the next slide here. Baby. So just a quick funny. This is the third time that I'm going to be recording day 5. The first time I forgot that I had a meeting and I had to pause the recording, and then I forgot where I was at. So I had to wipe that one. The second time, I did a pretty good job at explaining day 5 cost optimization. But then I realized my boom was up and I was on mute the entire time. So lucky me, this is my third time. So third time's a charm. Hopefully I will get across the points I need to get across. So you can save, you can have save money and have cost optimization using Azure Arc and other Azure services along with Azure Arc. So enough of me yapping. Let's get on. Okay, so day 5, Artemis. Azure Save for Me. The title of this was 5 Golden Savings. But if we all know the song of the 12 Days of Christmas, this one was 5 Golden Rings. And a bit of, I don't know, wisdom or smartness, what do you want to call it? The 5 Golden Rings symbolize the significant cost optimization benefits Azure brings, much like the most valuable gift that I'm giving you today in the 12 Days of Christmas song. Deep. Let that think. Let the think sink into there. So the areas I'm going to cover, of course, which are on the slide, are Azure Hybrid Benefits and secure updates, or what we call extended support for legacy systems, ESUs. Those are the 2 main areas I'm going to talk about, and some other areas about how Azure Arc can play a role in cost optimization as well. So let's just start there. So Azure Arc's role in cost optimization. Let's say number 1, efficient resource utilization. And what do I mean by that? So Azure Arc enables more efficient use of your resources across various environments, right? By extending Azure management capabilities, Azure Arc allows for better monitoring and utilization of these resources, right? So the benefits of this is reducing over-provisioning. It helps avoid costly mistakes of over-provisioning resources by enabling precise scaling based on actual usage. That kind of comes into play when you're talking about Azure data services and being able to scale up and scale down on-prem and stuff like that. Cost-effective resource management. This facilitates the deployment of resources where they're most cost-effective, whether they're at this on-premise, in the cloud, or at the edge. We all know, all of us know, and if you don't know this, then you're lying to yourself. Public cloud is not cheap. It's just not cheap for specific workloads, especially for some workloads. Yes, and of course because you can't mimic some of the stuff that Azure has to offer, or AWS has to offer, or GCP has to offer in your own data centers. For those workloads, it's very intelligent to move those workloads to the cloud. But for specific workloads, some of those workloads, you might have a better cost-effective solution running this locally. So that in that sense, that Azure Arc being able to help manage those workloads on-prem, bringing some of the management tools from Azure down to on-prem, that's huge. That is something very, very, very. So another area we can talk about is how the cost visibility and control. So Azure Arc, in conjunction with services like Azure Cost Management, provides the visibility to spending and resource utilization, helping to identify and eliminate that wasteful expenditure, right? Which is huge. And then, of course, the adaptability to changing needs. With Azure Arc's flexibility in managing diverse environments, this allows organizations to adapt quickly to changing business needs without incurring those unnecessary costs. And then, of course, Azure Hybrid Benefit Integration. So Azure Arc supports Azure Hybrid Benefits, allowing customers like myself, customers like you, to extend our existing Windows Server and SQL license to the cloud and take advantage of those cost savings also on-prem with the hybrid benefits when it comes to Azure Stack HCI, things like that, which can result in significant cost savings. So leveraging existing investments by using existing on-prem licenses for Windows servers SQL servers. Azure Arc can reduce and is reducing the need for additional license costs. That's huge for a huge. We talked a little bit about Azure Arc enabled data services and that functionality of Azure Arc to be able to bring some of those data services locally, where that could be some cost savings because, of course, you have a huge data sets that need to be processed locally, machine learning that can be trained locally, things like that. That will save some money by from not moving those data sets to the cloud because of various reasons why you probably can't, and things like that. And then last but not least, let's talk about extended security updates. So extended security updates extends the support for your legacy systems. We all know that every company out there has all the latest and greatest OSs deployed. Um, that's a lie. I know. Anyway, so Azure Arc enables you to extend the support for those systems by deploying Azure Arc agents and enabling extended security updates for servers who might be out of date. For instance, Windows Server 2012 R2 and SQL Server 2002 SQL Server 2002 R2 just end of life this last year. I think July was SQL Server, and October was Windows Server 2012 R2. I know a company that about 8 months ago at my previous employer who had about 600 servers, 600 2012 R2 servers and a handful of SQL 2012 servers running on those servers that needed to migrate those machines to Azure. But you're talking about a time frame that was impossible to get 600 servers to Azure before end of life of these devices. This right here, this extended security update feature for Azure Arc could have and would probably be saving them a lot of money because they probably ended up having to buy an extended security update license or contract to support those 600 servers another year. But with Azure Arc, you can do server by server and month by month, of course, keep those servers secure and update to reduce security risk and to help with compliance cost and transition planning as well. So Azure Arc will help with that as well. So another keynote, it has nothing to do with Azure Arc, but it does have everything to do with extended security updates and Azure Stack HCI. If you happen to migrate your workloads to Azure Stack HCI or even Azure Stack Hub, I think that's still the case. Those extended supports are included. So there was no charge to run a Windows 2012 R2 server on an Azure Stack HCI cluster and still get extended security updates, which is also a very cool feature of Azure Stack HCI right now. So let's move forward into our little demo that I have set up, and looking forward to the demo because it's demo time. I just want to take a 5-second break to show you today's Bing desktop. That is beautiful, and it fits right in with the whole Christmas feeling. If you notice at the very bottom though of my screen, it's like 70 degrees here right now, so it's not very Christmassy. But looking at that Bing desktop image, wherever that's at, that is a very, very, very beautiful place. Looking at it long enough, it makes me almost feel cold. Almost feel cold. Almost cold. I might even turn my AC down to like 62 for the next 10 seconds, just so I could almost feel cold. But that is a beautiful place. I don't know where it's at. I might look it up, but it's beautiful. It is. So, we're on the 6th day of Arcmas, and I just noticed that I've been talking a lot, and I've got about 40 minutes, 50 minutes of content so far. So I'm going to turn my notch up a bit and start speeding up the last 6 days here. Is it 6 days? Yeah, 6 days here. Take a day or two. Who knows? I can't do math. But anyway, on the 6th day of Arcmas, Azure showed to me 6 apps deploying. Innovation at its finest for productivity employing. That's pretty cool, I thought. So also, the 6th day in the song is 6 geese a laying. So let's continue on. Of course, this section, day 6, is all about innovation at its finest. So 6 geese a laying represents the birth of new ideas and the innovation that Azure Arc facilitates in application and service deployment. That is amazing. I wish I could take credit for writing that. I didn't, but that was pretty cool. I think it was ChatGPT, to be honest. So someone somewhere wrote it, and ChatGPT just regurgitated it. So in this section, I really want to talk more about DevOps, infrastructure as code, etc., on top of it just being innovation and how Azure can help innovate, help with innovation. So let's talk about that. How is Azure Arc's role in fostering innovation? I don't know. I'm just kidding. I do. Sort of. Maybe. I did a little research before I did this slide. So let's say facilitating cloud native deployment across environments. That's one key point on how Azure Arc's role in fostering innovation is. So talk about the functionality. So Azure Arc extends Azure's application development, deployment and development capabilities to any environment, making it easier to build and run cloud native apps anywhere. This kind of goes back to Azure Arc enabled Kubernetes and being able to use the GitOps process to be able to deploy apps across to any cloud on any Kubernetes platform, to be able to deploy Azure Data Services to any cloud, any platform, any in that sense, right? So that benefits us. How? With a consistent development experience, right? So developers, which I am not, who can use familiar tools that they're familiar with, Azure tools and services for developing applications, regardless of where they're deployed. So if you already have developers who are trained using specific tool sets that are Azure native or Azure friendly, those same tool sets can be used to deploy these applications to any cloud. Streamlined DevOps practices is another benefit. So Azure Arc integrates, of course, the DevOps processes, so allowing for automated, consistent deployments across all environments. That key term again, on-premise environments, multi-cloud environments, edge environments, which is essential for the agile development and deployment of the continuous innovation here that we're talking. I already mentioned it, but it also helps enable advanced data-driven scenarios, right? So with Azure Arc enabled data services, our organizations could bring Azure's advanced data services and analytic services, the capabilities to our data, wherever that resides. So that the benefits of that, of course, are real-time insights and analytics, data-intensive application support, things like that, specifically around applications close to where that data is generated, ideal for scenarios like IoT, machine learning, edge computing, things like that. And again, being able to leverage Azure machine learning and AI. With Azure Arc, that allows us to train those machine learning modules on any Kubernetes cluster connected to Azure, harnessing the local data and compute resources on-prem, you know what I mean? So those benefits, of course, that come with that, of course, are the AI and machine learning anywhere, everywhere. So bring Azure's AI and machine learning capabilities to hybrid environments, enabling AI-driven innovations in any diverse scenario. And of course, optimize machine learning workflows, things like that. Those are some of the benefits that we can take advantage when it comes to leveraging Azure machine learning and using Azure Arc enabled Azure machine learning and helping us innovate. That's what this site is about, correct? So some of the practical implications and benefits of using Azure Arc in this situation, this solution, of course, as we talked about a little bit, accelerated innovation cycle by enabling cloud-native deployments and development of AI capabilities across all environments. Azure Arc will be able to help reduce the time from the idea to deployment, accelerating this innovation cycle. That's huge, very huge. Another good benefit would be the enhanced operational agility. So organizations like myself, my organization, your organization can rapidly adapt to new market demands and technical changes thanks to the flexibility and agility provided by Azure Arc. And I see that happening right now in my organization alone, and how we're adapting and how people who are my organization are truly adapting rapidly to new market demands and to new customer requests and to AI. AI is huge. Even though I don't want to be on that bandwagon, to be honest, it's huge. And our company, my current company, is is being able to adapt to these new market demands. And of course, I love saying this piece. You've heard me say it 5,000 times. Cross environment innovation. What does that mean? Azure Arc breaks down the barriers between on-premise, cloud, and edge environments. So fostering that innovation that leverages the best of each environment. Yes. I said it again in a different way, but it means the same thing. So what kind of, when we talk about innovation opportunities, on day 6 of our Azure Arc presentation, which focuses on innovation opportunities, what certain Azure Arc services are particularly relevant as they enable support innovation across hybrid multi-cloud environments? So let's talk about that. So these are some of the services that help facilitate application development, data management, and the integration of advanced technologies and diverse infrastructures. So let's kind of break this down. We've mentioned this a lot. Azure Arc enabled Kubernetes. That service, of course, extends Azure management capabilities to Kubernetes clusters across different environments. Across different environments. I like that. So the key features here, it enables deployment and management of applications across hybrid and multi-cloud Kubernetes clusters. Being able to use using Azure Data Tools. Of course, support for GitOps for consistent and automated application deployment, which also integrates with Azure Monitor, Azure Policy, Defender for Cloud, Sentinel for a comprehensive management and governance solution. Azure Arc enabled data services, kind of hit on that. Azure Arc enabled machine learning, perfect Azure Arc service that will fall great under innovation opportunities. Azure Arc for servers, managed servers, physical and virtual, running outside of Azure. Being able to provide unified management and an operation experience for your IT management for servers in hybrid environments, supporting innovation practices and infrastructure management. That's still a key, right? You know what I mean? It integrates with Azure services for monitoring, security, and governance. That's huge. We could also go in and talk about more DevOps stuff. We could also talk about infrastructure as code that could fall under day 6. But I think I'm going to keep that. We do have a DevOps section. I think it's like day 9 or day 10. I don't know. I'm going to focus more on actual DevOps on that day. But all that still could be encompassed under innovation opportunities in day 6. This one's huge. Day 6 is huge. I say they're all huge. And I'm going to say day 7's huge and day 8's huge. But anyway, this is the big one. Each one of these days, we could probably do an entire session on, if you really think about it and deep dive. What's next? What do I hear? What time is it? It's that time. It's demo time. Let's get busy. Okay, day 7. And on the 7th day of Arcness, Azure secured me. 7 policies ringing. Governance across clouds. No detail winging. This is a good one. Security and governance is it's important. It's highly important. And as the original song goes, what was the 7th gift that my true love gave to me? 7 swans a-swimming. Okay, so 7 swans a-swimming portray the elegance and breadth of Azure Arc security and governance capabilities across your environment. That is beautiful. Let's take a few seconds and let that sink in. Wow. Anyway, so this is going to be my shameless plug number 2. The first one was about my son's awesome woodworking skills with his he has an awesome olive wood pin that he does. Authentic olive wood from Israel. Anyway, same as plug number 2. My previous company that I came from before I met this company was one of the number 1 partners for Microsoft Security. Awesome group of guys. If If you want to reach out to me, I could give you the name of the company. I'm still very close to a few of those people, but the security was huge for them. That was their entire focus of their practice. They did other things, of course, and other things well, but their primary focus, of course, was Defender for Cloud, Microsoft Sentinel, compliance and regulation requirements, Azure policy, governance, everything, ID management. But anyway, I will invoke you to look them up when I give you their name one point, which I kind of think I just gave you their name secretly. But let's move on. Day 7, security and governance. Some of the key points here we're going to talk about, of course, is multi-cloud security and governance, policy-driven management, and integrated security tools, which is what I'm going to talk about in this slide, basically. So, as I said, day 7 of this Azure Arc presentation is centered around security and governance. It's a critical aspect of managing hybrid and multi-cloud environments, and of course Azure as well. So on this day, we're going to focus on Azure Arc, enhances security measures, and streamlines governance across various infrastructures. So let's delve into the details. Delve. That's what I think when I say delve. I don't know. Delve. Dive. So what is Azure Arc's role in enhancing security and governance? Let's take a look at the first key point. Unified security management. Azure Arc extends Azure's security management capabilities to resources located anywhere, on premises, in other clouds, or at the edge. I'm not tired of saying that yet. What are the benefits of Azure Arc being able to extend that security management to on-premise, other clouds, and the edge? Well, the benefits, of course, is consistent security posture. So it ensures uniform security policies and practices that can be applied across all those environments. So reducing the complexity and the potential gaps in my security strategies and your security strategies. Advanced threat protection, but advanced threat protection. HCP integrates with Defender for Cloud, providing advanced threat protection and security benefits for both Azure and non-Azure resources. And of course, the next one is policy-driven governance. What functionality does Azure policy through Azure policy? What policy? I can't even talk today. I'm sorry. So functionality, and what does Azure Arc functionality provide for us? So through Azure policy, Azure Arc enables the enforcement and standards and regulatory requirements across hybrid environments. There it is again, across your hybrid environments. It also helps you with automated policy enforcement, automates enforcement policies, ensuring that these resources are always compliant with defined rules. So you get tools like, I think it's called Azure Pureview, is it? Compliance policies within Defender for Cloud, things like that. Azure policies, those are some of the important key sets, the key features that we could use to Azure Arc to be able to, anyway, I can't even talk, but that's where we're going to focus on, is Azure Arc and how Azure Arc is going to help facilitate getting those policies out to your on-prem environments. Also, role-based access control, RBAC. Azure Arc supports Azure RBAC, allowing fine-grained access control to resources managed by Azure Arc. Some of these benefits, of course, include control access management, provides the ability to control who can do what within the organization, the resources within the organization, enhancing the security and reducing the risk of unauthorized access. Then customized permissions is one of the other key benefits, and that's with RBAC solutions using Azure Arc. And that's tailor access to specific needs and roles, ensuring that users have only the permissions necessary to do their jobs. Identity and access management, we could talk about a little bit here. And then, of course, we could skip on to compliance and audit reporting. That's pretty big, at least in my company as well. Hopefully in your company, compliance and audit reporting is fairly large, or is highly up on the radar here. So Azure Arc provides tools for generating compliance and audit reports making it easier to review and demonstrate compliance with internal policies and external regulations. So some of these benefits, of course, are streamlined compliance processes, uh, real-time compliance insights, which is huge, to be able to just see in real time, uh, are your machines compliant? Are your workloads compliant? Are they compliant for specific regulatory reasons? Are they compliant for specific security compliance reasons? Things like that. Um, some of the practical implications and benefits for Azure Arc when it comes to compliance and security, of course, are reduce complexity in security and governance. So with Azure Arc's unified approach to security and governance, it reduces that complexity involved in managing these aspects across, what do I hear? Across diverse environments. That means hybrid environments. That means on-prem environments. Microsoft's new adaptive cloud environment, multi-cloud environments. I'll just keep on that all day long. It also enhances organizational security by standardizing the security practices and extending Azure's robust security capabilities to all resources. So Azure Arc can significantly enhance the overall security posture of your organization, of my organization. And then, of course, streamline compliance management. The ability to apply consistent policy and generate comprehensive compliance reports with the that should ease the burden of compliance management in the hybrid and multi-cloud setups. So basically, on day 7, Azure Arc is presented as a powerful tool for enhancing security and governance across hybrid and multi-cloud environments. It's going to enable your organization to implement a unified, robust security and governance framework, ensuring that all your resources, regardless of their location, adhere to the same high standards of security and compliance. This capability is crucial for organizations facing the complexities of managing distributed and diverse IT landscapes, especially those with stringent security and regulatory compliance needs. So, on day 7 of this presentation, we focused on security and governance. Several Azure Arc services and related Azure offerings are particularly relevant to this topic to this day. These services enable Azure Arc to enhance security measures and streamline governance across various infrastructures. I'm going to say it again, in your hybrid and multi-cloud environments. In Microsoft's new adaptive cloud, which includes IoT, which don't leave me there. But anyway, here's a breakdown of some of those relevant services that we could take the relevance. That's why I said the relevance for day 7. Azure Arc services, Azure policy for Azure Arc, which extends Azure policy capabilities to non-Azure resources, like I said. This facilitates the application of these same set of policies across Azure and non-Azure machines. We've mentioned that a lot. Azure Arc for Kubernetes, that's been mentioned. That pretty much going to fall on every day, but that enables us to basically apply Azure policies, RBAC solutions to Kubernetes clusters in any environment, ensuring that consistent security and access control. Azure Arc for servers, which is also Azure Arc enabled servers, which manages physical and virtual servers, Windows, Linux, outside of Azure. That enables us and these servers to be governed and secured using Azure tools, extending Azure security and management capabilities to on-prem servers, using tools, for instance, which I'm going to talk about next, is Defender for Cloud, which used to be called Azure Security Center. So you might see that a lot in documentation still. So that provides that unified security measurement across hybrid cloud workloads. Azure Arc integrates with Windows Defender for Cloud, allowing for that advanced threat protection and security posture management for both the Azure and non-Azure resources. We can talk about Azure Active Directory that kind of falls into this, which is now called Enter ID, which I haven't updated my slide notes, so I should do that. And then, of course, day 7, the focus was leveraging Azure Arc alongside other Azure services to enhance security and governance across hybrid and multi-cloud environments. I might say that a lot, but that's highly important. Azure Arc's integration with Azure Policy, with Defender for Cloud, with Enter ID, with Azure Monitor, demonstrates its capability to extend Azure's robust security. Let's not forget Sentinel here as well, which extends Azure's robust security, identity, and governance models to any of the infrastructure. This comprehensive approach enables organizations to maintain a high standard of security and compliance, ensuring that their resources, no matter where they're located, yep, you know what I'm going to say, adhere to your organization's policies and regulatory requirements. So at the end of the day, the key message I hope we get out of this slide, out of day 7, security and governance, is I want to emphasize Azure Arc's comprehensive security and governance features that protect and manage resources wherever they run. And of course, Azure Arc's policy-driven governance ensures compliance and security across all environments. So if that's the only 2 things that you can take away from this, I hope you can take that away. Those are two key messages I'd like to leave you with. So we're at that time. We're at demo time. Let's start the demo. So we're on day 8. On the 8th day of Arcmas, Azure carved for me 8 custom locations, abstractions on clusters for service migrations. What does that mean? I'll let you know on the next slide. But I'd also like to point out on the 8th day, my true love gave to me 8 mills of milking was the original song. So custom locations with Kubernetes is the key, is another title to the slide. So day 8 of this Azure Arc presentation, even though it does feel like it's been 8 days since I started it, it's only been like an hour and a half. I don't know, maybe 2. I don't know. I have fun. I talk a lot. So I'll just continue. So day 8 focuses on custom locations. Custom locations. That's a feature that highlights Azure Arc's flexibility in developing and deploying and managing cloud resources. Custom locations are a key aspect of Azure Arc's ability to extend Azure management and services to any infrastructure anywhere. So let's kind of dive into more details. So custom locations. What are Azure Arc's role in creating custom locations? So the definition and the purpose of what a custom location is, right? So custom locations in Azure allow you to define a target location for deploying Azure services outside of Azure regions. This could be on-premise, at the edge, or in other cloud environments. So what does that actually mean? So when you deploy, let's take a Kubernetes cluster, and you want to deploy an application to that Kubernetes cluster. AKS, of course, because you're in Azure, and you have an AKS cluster in East-US. Well, let's say you want to deploy an application to a Kubernetes cluster that's running in your Dallas data center with custom locations and some other supported Azure Arc services. Creating a custom location that would be called Dallas DC, and then having your GitOps solution deploy an application to your Kubernetes cluster in your Dallas DC will show up as a custom location in Azure, and all your normal tool sets that you would use to deploy an application to an AKS cluster in East-US will now be able to use that custom location to deploy that application in the Kubernetes cluster running in your Dallas DC. Kind of cool, right? Oh, excuse me. I think it's cool. Sorry, forgot to put you on mute. I coughed. So, I mentioned the functionality and what custom locations in Azure Arc are. Some of the benefits, of course, and I might have talked about this a little bit, are extending Azure services, enable the deployment of Azure services to environments where were previously unavailable. Fulfilling specific needs, meet specific business needs, regulatory or technical requirements by deploying services closer to where they're needed. So, for instance, integration with Azure Kubernetes Service AKS on Azure Stack HCI. That is another key fact that I'm going to talk about here. So with custom locations, our custom locations work with AKS on Azure Stack HCI. So this enables Kubernetes clusters, like I mentioned before, to be treated as a target location for deploying Azure services managed by Azure Arc. This is kind of like I mentioned before. So I have a Kubernetes cluster running in my Dallas TC. I now have the capability of publishing or pushing an application to that AKS hybrid configuration running on Azure Stack HCI. Kind of cool, right? It is cool. Admit it. It's very cool. The benefits, of course, this or Kubernetes-based deployments that leverage the power and flexibility of Kubernetes for running Azure services in your environment, and of course, consistency with Azure. That's huge. Experience a constant application development and deployment model similar to Azure deployment of Azure application services. And speaking about deployment of Azure application services, Azure application services like Azure Logic Apps, Azure Functions, Azure Web Apps, these too can be deployed to these custom locations, managed as if they were running in Azure. Some of these benefits, of course, is local access to Azure services, where you could run these Azure applications services closer to your data, closer to your users, reducing latency, and potentially addressing data residency concerns, things like that. I thought of something else that I should have put in this slide. But hybrid flexibility. Hybrid flexibility, you know what that means. Maintain the benefits of cloud-native services while enjoying the control and localization of on-premise deployments. That's never going to get old. Okay, so what are the practical implications and benefits? Let's go over those, right? So enabling advanced scenarios. Custom locations can be used for scenarios where local processing is critical, such as in manufacturing, healthcare, or retail industries. Well, data processing needs to happen close to the source. Meeting compliance and data residency requirements is also another benefit. And then, of course, flexibility in cloud migrations. Facilitates a gradual migration to the cloud by allowing organizations to start leveraging Azure services in their existing infrastructure. This is huge. So let's say you're a company that's not ready to make the jump to Azure, but you know that is where you're going to go. You know that you have services that will take advantage of a lot of the services that Azure has to offer, but your applications are just not there yet. Just think about being able to deploy a solution like an Azure Stack HCI cluster that is managed by Azure Arc, running AKS, which is managed by connected Azure by using Azure Arc enabled Kubernetes, and be able to deploy and develop applications locally and still access data that's local that can't go to the cloud yet, or even old archaic applications that can't be moved to the cloud yet, and slowly migrating your existing on-prem applications to something that's more cloud native while staying on-prem until you're ready to go to the cloud. That is huge. Right there should sell Azure Arc and Azure Stack HCI. Right there. That's it. That's all you need. I'm done. Let's go home. Not really. I can't go home because I'm already home. But anyway, and I'm sharing this gift with you, so I don't want to go home. Anyway, so day 8 of this presentation, we focused on custom locations. So specific Azure Arc services, related Azure features are particularly, these specific features are particularly relevant. These services can enable Azure Arc to extend Azure management capabilities to any infrastructure, allowing for the deployment and management of Azure services outside of Azure regions. So here's a quick breakdown of some of these services that kind of fit into day 8. And of course, a lot of these services are going to be repeated. So Azure Arc services for custom locations. Some of these services, of course, are Azure Arc enabled Kubernetes. We mentioned that a little bit. This helps kind of Azure Arc enabled data services. This kind of extends Azure SQL managed instances and PostgreSQL to Kubernetes clusters outside Azure. I could talk a little about Azure Stack Hub. Azure Stack Hub, though not directly managed with Azure Arc, Azure Stack Hub complements Azure Arc's capabilities in custom locations. And of course, we talk about Azure Stack HCI and having those features on-prem managed by Azure Stack Arc. and being able to have those custom locations as well. I talked a little bit about Azure Logic Apps, Azure Functions, Azure Web Apps, and having the ability to have these Azure application services deployed to Azure Arc enable Kubernetes clusters in custom locations. That is huge, which enables running cloud-native applications and services close to where the data and your users are located. The one thing that I just realized I did not include in this thing is Azure Virtual Desktops. I should have had a whole day of Azure Virtual Desktop. Maybe that's day 13. Anyway, but I guess in some ways, Azure Virtual Desktops could play a little bit on the custom location side of things. Of course, on innovation day, on some other things. But anyway, I'll just forget I said that and move on. So day 8, of course, focused on Azure Arc's ability to create custom locations, effectively extending Azure Cloud's capability to any infrastructure. This feature not only enhances Azure Arc's value proposition as a hybrid cloud solution, but also broadens the scope of where and how Azure services can be utilized. Azure Arc-enabled Kubernetes plays a central role here, allowing for the deployment of Azure applications and data services in diverse environments. In combination with services like AKS on Azure Stack HCI and Azure Application Services, Azure Arc facilitates innovation and flexible deployment scenarios, meeting specific business, regulatory, and technical needs. That is pretty awesome right there, if you ask me. So, if anything, the key messages for this slide, I would say, would be Azure Arc's custom locations allow for the deployment of Azure services in any environment, providing flexibility for data insights and operations. This feature enables a consistent Azure management experience, regardless of where the services are physically deployed. And guess what time it is? It's demo time. One of my favorite times of the day. Demo time. Great. Day 9. On the 9th day of ArcNess, Azure eased for me 9 devs of dancing with one-click deployments, their projects enhancing. So day 9 of the original song was My True Love Gave to Me, 9 ladies dancing. And 9 ladies dancing represents the ease and grace of the user experience provided by Azure Arc, allowing for seamless interactions. That is pretty deep again. So this section, I'm going to cover one-click deployments of Azure services, Azure Arc Jumpstart project itself, and some integration with DevOps practices, which also kind of includes some infrastructure as code, AI, and all that other fun stuff that might fall and be jam-packed into this slide. So day 9 of this presentation is centered around user experience, also DevOps in some sense, highlighting how Azure Arc enhances the experience for developers, operators, and IT professionals managing hybrid and multi-cloud environments. This day focuses on the simplicity, the efficiency, and the enhanced capabilities that Azure Arc brings to the user experience. So let's develop on in. That fell flat. Let's dive on in. So Azure Arc's enhancements of the user experience. So the first key point I want to bring out is a simplified management across environments. We've talked about that a lot. Azure Arc provides a single pane of glass for managing resources across various environments, including on-prem environments, on-premises, multi-cloud, and at the edge. So we've talked about the benefits of that. I'm going to skip this and go on to the next. One-click deployment and automation. So Azure Arc enables the deployment of services and applications across different environments with minimal efforts, often as simple as a single click. Often, but not all the time. Often. So some of the benefits here, of course, is rapid deployment, which reduces the time and complexity involved in deploying resources, accelerating the operational processes. And then automation of the routine task. You can automate repetitive tasks, freeing up time for more strategic initiatives. And also, we can talk a little bit about the integration of Azure services. So, Azure Arc integrates with various Azure services like Azure Monitor, Azure Monitor, Windows Defender for Cloud, Azure Policy, and more. The benefits of that, of course, are comprehensive tooling, provides a rich set of tools for managing, securing, and optimizing these resources. We've gone over that a lot, but I just kind of want to stress this. And then, of course, familiar interface and tools. If you're familiar with Azure tools for managing and various other services within Azure, those same consistent experiences across those tools are going to be used when you're managing these services and stuff using Azure Arc services. Another key point I could talk about is enhanced DevOps experiences. We can go deeper into that in a second, but of course, this supports the modern DevOps practice by integrating with Azure DevOps and GitHub and enabling GitOps workloads for consistent and automated deployments. So basically using Azure Arc enabled communities to deploy workloads using GitOps. Some of those benefits, streamlined development and operations, and of course, CI/CD practices for continuous integration and delivery is some key points and benefits as well. Some of the practical implications and benefits. Let's talk about improved operation efficiency, the flexibility and adaptability, and of course, reduced learning curve. That's huge. Since hopefully some of your employees are already using Azure, some of those same familiar services, interfaces, that reduces time, reduces the learning curve, allowing to leverage these new capabilities quickly. So infrastructure as code is also a very important aspect of not only day 9, the user experience, but also day 6, which we focus on innovation opportunities as well. So especially in the context of Azure Arc and its impact on the DevOps practice, infrastructure code is a key enabler of the modern automated and repeatable deployment process, which are essential for fostering innovation in the cloud native deployments and operations. So let's kind of explore a little bit how infrastructure as a code relates to Azure Arc and its role not only in innovation, but in its role for user experience as well. So with infrastructure as a code with Azure Arc, we're talking about automated and consistent environment provisioning. Yes. So IAC, or infrastructure code, for the automated provisioning and management of infrastructure using code rather than manual processes. So with Azure Arc, we could extend that infrastructure code practice to manage not only Azure resources, but also those in hybrid Azure resources, or resources in Azure. That's probably how I should write it next time. But also those in hybrid and multi-cloud environments. So the benefits, speed and efficiency, huge. And then, of course, consistency and standardization. Those are some of the two big benefits of integrating infrastructure with code and using Azure Arc to help automate and the consistent environment provisioning. I can't talk this morning. And I kind of went over this a minute ago, but the integration with Azure DevOps and GitOps is huge. So Azure Arc integrates seamless with Azure DevOps and supporting GitOps. I've talked about that, being able to deploy using GitOps, using the same tools. Enables your DevOps team to handle complex deployment scenarios, collaboration and version control, leverage Git-based workflows for collaboration and version control. All that DevOps lingo is great. I'm not I do a lot of DevOps, but that's not my focus, as you can see. We do have support for popular infrastructure as a code tools. Azure Arc is compatible with popular tools like Terraform, Ansible, ARM templates, allowing teams to use the tools they are already familiar with. That's huge, especially for the environment I am in now. We're a huge Terraform shop. I have no idea how to use Terraform, to be honest. That is something I got to learn. Ansible, I've heard of it. I've dealt with it in the past. I've always been an ARM guy, a bicep guy, PowerShell guy. So, but it's cool. But everybody in my company are their Terraform people. So for them to move into and adapt to this solution is going to be great because they're going to use the same tools. They're going to be able to use the same Terraform tools to be able to deploy solutions using Terraform. That's a sell point right there. Some of the benefits, of course, and I probably already mentioned that just now, is the flexibility and tool choice. We're not locked into tool sets. We're not locked into just using ARM templates, but we could use Terraform. We could use Ansible. Um, Adoption of best practices is huge, and of course, that's always it's going to be huge here. So to leave this slide, there's a few key messages that I would like to leave you. For instance, I'd like to highlight how the quick start and seamless management experience Azure Arc does have to offer for deploying data services and machine learning experiences. That's huge. One thing I didn't really mention, but it's on the slide deck here, is the Azure Jumpstart project as a resource for learning about Azure Arc's capabilities and best practices. In the slide deck, I will have it posted somewhere. I don't know where. All the notes are going to be here. I won't scrub anything. But at the very bottom of the last slide, there's a resource slide. I will have a link to the Azure Arc Jumpstart project. This is huge. These are my demos run on. Some of my demos, of course. But some of my demos will run on the Azure Jumpstart project. It's a great way to learn Azure Arc. There's also the Azure HCI Jumpstart, which is part of Azure Arc Jumpstart. That is a great way to learn Azure HCI as well. Anyway, so that's one of those are some of the key takeaways I hope you got from day 9 user experience. And in fact, I think might as well jump into a demo, right? And maybe show you how to use Azure Arc Jumpstart and some other various user-related experience demos. So let's get to this demo. I've got 3 more days left, and I'm pretty much way over time. So let's get day 10 started. On the 10th day of Arcmas, Azure bridged for me 10 clouds connecting, multi-cloud strategy with seamless projecting. So on the original song, of course, my true love gave to me 10 lords a leaping. And 10 lords a leaping across clouds depict the agility and freedom Azure Arc provides in managing resources across multiple cloud platforms. That was awesome. It was. So this slide, we're going to kind of talk a little bit about multi-cloud management, what cloud flexibility is, and what workload orchestration is, especially when we have workloads, resources in AWS, GCP, Azure, and hybrid cloud. That's a multi-cloud, right? It's another cloud. I have a funny that I thought of, but I can't share it because it's not professional, but it's funny. So day 10 of this presentation, we focus, of course, on multi-cloud strategies. We're going to emphasize how Azure Arc enables and simplifies the management of resources across the various cloud providers. This day is about showcasing Azure Arc's ability to provide a consistent management experience, regardless of where the resources are located. Whether it's in Azure, AWS, Google Cloud, or other cloud environments. Are there other cloud environments? Let's explore this topic in more details. So day 10, multi-cloud strategy. Azure Arc's role in multi-cloud environments. The first key point I want to bring up is consistent management across clouds. We've talked about this a lot throughout the other 9 days, but I'm going to talk about it even more now. Azure Arc extends Azure management's capabilities to resources located in other clouds environments, enabling a unified management approach. And that shouldn't get old, because that's what Azure Arc is. That's the base to Azure Arc in the sense, is extending Azure's management capabilities to the other clouds, to your private cloud, to some edge device running in, I don't know where, someplace, who knows, some convenience store in the middle downtown somewhere, I don't know. Anyway, so Azure Arc extends, like I said, that Azure management capability, right? Some of the benefits, of course, we've talked about this, unified operations management for resources at AWS and Google Cloud and other clouds, streamlined administration, providing a single interface for managing these resources. And the big one, of course, is policy and governance in your multi-cloud, being able to secure and of course, which let's go to talk about policy and governance in your multi-cloud. So applying Azure policy, Azure governance, and Azure policy management to resources in the multi environment clouds. It's one of the functionalities that Azure Arc can provide. The benefits, of course, is the consistent compliance and governance across the board, automated policy enforcement, and then, of course, which leads us to cost management and optimization. We talked a little bit about that. I forgot what day it was. It was a few days ago, it seems like. So of course, cost management, Azure Arc Assist, and monitoring and optimizing costs across multi-cloud environments. It gives you that visibility, and it gives you the opportunity to optimize resource utilization. Some of the I can't even read, practical implications and benefits. Oh, whoa, I'm getting tired. It's been a long day. Anyway, of course, there's flexibility in the cloud, flexibility in cloud usage. Azure Arc allows organizations like mine, like yours, to choose the best cloud environment for each workload based on the technical requirements, cost, and other factors without worrying about management complexity, without worrying about being locked in as well. Risk reduction in multi-cloud deployments, um, operational efficiency, we've said that a few times here. So day 10, of course, of this presentation, we focused on multi-cloud strategy. Certain Arc services and Azure services do play a pivotal role, and when it comes to enabling and simplifying the management of the resources. My brain is slowing down, and of course, across various cloud providers. These services are crucial, very crucial, for providing a consistent management experience in the multi-cloud environment, and they're key to implementing a successful multi-cloud strategy with Azure Arc. So here's a breakdown of some of these services that I would kind of consider being relevant to day 10 multi-cloud. So Azure Arc enabled servers. We talked about this. This gives us the ability to manage virtual machines that are in cloud services like AWS and Google. It gives us a consistent management of monitoring, of governance of these servers, no matter if they are in AWS or GCP. Azure Arc enabled Kubernetes, being able to manage the CNCF conformant Kubernetes cluster, which basically means any Kubernetes that is cloud native, cloud foundation compliant, which EKS in AWS is, GK, Google Cloud, Google GKS, I think it's called, in Google, OpenShift from Red Hat, things like that. Those are all CNCF conformant Kubernetes clusters that Azure can help extend management to. So these are running, primarily we're going to focus, of course, because this is multi-cloud day, in other clouds. It integrates Kubernetes clusters into Azure for that unified operational experience, so including deployment, management, and of course, governance. We talked a little about Azure Arc enabled data services, be able to run Azure SQL managed instances or Azure databases for PostSQL, or even able to manage Azure SQL servers in other clouds, using Azure policy, things like that, to be able to make sure that those data services are compliant. What else can I talk about for multi-cloud, of course, that we haven't already talked about? Windows Defender, Windows Defender for Cloud. Provides a security management and threat protection for Azure and non-Azure resources. Microsoft Sentinel as well is included, things like that. Sorry, I just got a notification. But so on day 10, Azure Arc services are showcased as an essential tool for implementing a multi-cloud strategy. And let's be honest, not everybody uses Azure. I know not everybody uses AWS. Not everybody just uses GCP. Everybody has their fingers in all three honeypots, right? So Azure Arc enabled servers, Azure Arc enabled Kubernetes, Azure Arc enabled data services enable the extension of Azure's management capabilities to other clouds, bringing that uniformity in operations, in security, and in governance. Additionally, Azure Policy, Azure Defender for Cloud, Microsoft Sentinel and other services play supporting roles in ensuring that those resources across those multiple clouds are managed effectively, securely, and are cost effectively. This comprehensive approach, it does provided by Azure Arc, is crucial for my organization and your organization, looking to leverage the benefits of the multi-cloud environment without that added complexity typically associated with those strategies. So yes, we can all use AWS, we can all use GCP, we can all use Azure, but it is nice to have a central management tool to manage all our resources across all three clouds. That's the key here with Azure Arc. You know, I don't care what cloud you use, but on the management side, Azure Arc is a key tool, key tool in your toolset that you should be using to manage your resources across multiple clouds. Um, the last two things I'm going to say about this slide, of course, are two key messages that I hope we can take away from this from day 10. And of course, Azure Arc enables that consistent management, I'm going to say it, approach across multiple clouds, including AWS and GCP and whatever cloud is out there. I know there's some other ones, IBM, Oracle, maybe, who knows. The multi-cloud strategy facilitated by Azure Arc ensures that the management of cloud resources is harmonized and efficient. That is a beautiful way to end the slide. That and me saying it's demo time. It's demo time. On the 11th day of Arcness, Azure monitored me. 11 logs of streaming. Insights across all environments. Brightly beaming. Yes, day 11. In the original song, My True Love Gave to Me 11 Pipers Piping. 11 Pipers Piping illustrated the continuous flow of telemetry data and insights that Azure Arc enables across all environments. Wow. So, day 11, it's going to focus on monitoring and insights. How about that? Highlighting Azure Arc's role in providing comprehensive monitoring and analytic capabilities across hybrid and multi-cloud environments. This day is going to emphasize the importance of gaining deep insights into the performance, health, and operational efficiencies of applications and the infrastructures that we manage, regardless of where they are deployed. So let's explore this topic in a little more detail. So day 11, monitoring and insights. Azure Arc's enhancement of monitoring and insights. Okay. So let's talk about Azure Arc's enhancement of monitoring and insights. The first key I'm going to talk about here is the unified monitoring across environments. Yeah. And you know where I'm going to go with that. I've been talking about it all day. So Azure Arc allows you to bring together monitoring data from various environments, including on-premises, multi-cloud, and edge locations, into a single unified monitoring solution. So what are the benefits? Of course, consolidated views of every data, get a comprehensive view of the health and performance of all your applications and infrastructure in one place. Proactive management is another one. Identify and access issues before they impact the business, improving operational efficiencies and reliability. Let's talk about integrated analytics and insights too as well. So, what functionality does Azure Arc have to play with integrated analytics and insights? Let's see. It integrates with Azure Monitor and Azure Log Analytics, providing powerful tools to analyze and visualize telemetry data from across all environments. And how does it actually integrate with it? It actually integrates with the Azure Monitor agent, which is installed via an extension, which then sends the data to Log Analytics. But that's kind of like under the weeds kind of thing. Anyway, so what benefits do we have here? One of the benefits is deep insights. You gain valuable insights into application performance, user experiences, and infrastructure utilizations. Data-driven decisions. data-driven decisions. Yeah, make informed decisions based off analytics and trends observed across your entire IT landscape. Let's move on to performance and health monitoring. So Azure Arc enables the monitoring of key performance indicators, KPIs, and health metrics for both Azure and non-Azure resources. Um, it's not quite there yet, but at one point, as this solution grows and matures, I could kind of see Azure Arc replacing the Microsoft monitoring agent. I think if it already hasn't, and then of course replacing, which I think is going to replace, which one day will replace SCOM. I'm sorry for those SCOM people. I love SCOM, and it's a great tool, but I see probably not in the near future, but in the distant future, services like Azure Arc bringing those performance and health monitoring solutions into the cloud to help monitor everything. And we already talked about KPIs. We already talked about the health matrix, which is what a lot of what SCOM does. I mean, SCOM does a lot more than that. Let's be honest. And it's not quite there to totally ditch SCOM and then move into Azure Monitor, but it's getting close. There's some very close possibilities here. I still will stay with SCOM for on-premise monitoring, but one day we might be seeing SCOM go to the dead apps walking list. Not today, not yet. Anyway, so as I said, key performance indicators, health matrix for both Azure and non-Azure resources. So the benefits, of course, there is optimized performance, early detection of issues, which kind of leads into kind of custom alerting and notifications. So with all this data coming in and be able to kick off some custom alerting and notifications, it's not directly Arc related, but Arc does play a role into getting that data from your on-premises workloads, your other cloud workloads, into Log Analytics, into Azure Monitor, and into the custom alerting and notification configurations, which gives you some real-time automated and alerting, some automated response based off Azure automation and some other workflows that can be configured, et cetera, et cetera. So what are some of the practical implications and benefits? So comprehensive operational visibility, talked about that a little bit. Enhanced troubleshooting diagnostics, getting some of that data into the cloud to be able to do some troubleshooting, centralized troubleshooting, and of course strategic resource allocation. Trying to think what else I could talk about. Monitoring. We did not talk about the actual. Let's talk about that. So, when you bring in services, I think I might have been. Actually, I am going to talk about that. I think I am supposed to anyway. But some of the services, of course, that fall under day 11, monitoring insights, of course, Azure Monitor, of course, that's a give me. Azure Arc enable servers. When you have Azure Arc agent and that the machine is onboarded as an Azure connected machine, of course, that data is now being ingested and sent to Log Analytics. You could enable VM Insights. VM Insights is a great tool for monitoring the health of your virtual machines, your physical machines, things like that. Same thing with Azure Arc enable Kubernetes. You can enable container insights and get some really nice detailed performance metrics, some health monitoring of your Kubernetes clusters across the board, on-prem and other clouds. I mentioned Azure Monitor, of course, and our Log Analytics is a service, of course, we've talked about. The next big one that's going to take advantage of this data that's being ingested, are the Defender for Cloud and all the Defender solutions, of course. But Defender for Cloud, formerly Azure Security Center, which offers security monitoring and threat protection capabilities, which integrates with Azure Arc to extend that security monitoring to your hybrid environments. Of course, that brings in compliance and other tools as well. And then Microsoft Sentinel, which is a scalable cloud SIEM and SOAR. SIM is a security information and event management tool. Yes, and then SOAR is a security orchestrated automatic response solution. So together, data can be collected, investigated, and then you get a response to those security threats across your Azure Arc managed environments. So that includes SQL servers, that includes data services, that includes how to make sure I was recording. Sorry, how to make sure your your HCI clusters, your VMs, all that stuff, all being monitored and investigated using Azure Sentinel and other security tools as well. Wow, my voice is about to go, so forgive me. So on day 11, Azure Arc Services in conjunction with Azure Monitor, Azure Log Analytics, Defender for Cloud, Microsoft Sentinel provide a robust framework for monitoring and insights. Azure Arc enabled servers and Azure Arc enabled Kubernetes enable the extensions of Azure enable the extension of Azure's comprehensive monitoring capabilities to those resources again, regardless of where they're located. I love that. No matter where, on somebody else's cloud, on your data center, who knows, on some ship in the middle of nowhere with a little bit of internet connection. This integration ensures that organizations can maintain the visibility and gain valuable insights into the performance, the health, and the security of our applications and the infrastructure across our hybrid environments and our multi-cloud environments. That this collective approach is essential for effective and proactive management in my complex IT landscapes, and I know your complex IT landscapes as well. So if anything, the key messages I want to produce on this slide is one, how to focus and how basically the focus on Azure Arc's monitoring capabilities, and not its monitoring capabilities, but its capabilities to help monitor that provide insights into application health and performance across all environments. And then, of course, showcase how Azure Arc's integrated logging and monitoring centralize and simplify IT operations. It's that time. It's demo time. And it's the second to last day. Day 12 is coming after this demo. So on the 12th day of Arcmas, Azure cheered with me, 12 drums celebrating success stories and festive scenarios we're creating. That, and we're probably celebrating that I'm on day 12. Yep. So in the original song, when my true love gave to me 12 drummers drumming. And 12 drummers drumming invoke the celebration and creativity that Azure Arc supports, enabling both professional achievements and personal joy. So day 12 of our journey of this Azure Arc presentation is about celebration of achievements, focusing on recognizing the success and advancements made possible through the implementation of Azure Arc in managing hybrid and multi-cloud environments. This day is an opportunity to highlight how Azure Arc has enabled organizations to meet their IT goals, solve complex challenges, and innovate our operations. So let's dive deeper into this theme. Drum roll, please. Okay. So here is where, in person, I would like to have encouraged the audience to share success stories and explore the creative scenarios enabled by Azure Arc. For instance, we could talk about some of the other scenarios that we can, since we aren't in person, and I'm not getting a response from my monitors here. But in my mind, I like to share a few stories here. For one thing, when I first saw Day 12 Celebration of Achievements, and it had to do with Little Drummer Boys, the first thing I thought of was my son, who just turned 9, and his birthday request was a snare drum, the drum you see there. Oh boy, was he excited to see his birthday present! And we went to an orchestra slash concert thing the other night, and they sang. The orchestra played a certain song when the choir stood up, um, and some of the people in the choir came down and had all these different types of drums, and his face just lit up. It was so awesome to see because he was just like focused on those drummers. It was as a dad, it was heartwarming. But that was awesome. That's kind of like a success story in my personal life. It has nothing to do with Azure Arc, but it has something to do with Day 12 celebration of achievements. And so I wanted to share that. One thing that we could do together is um, we could celebrate our success stories and achievements with Azure Arc by submitting them to Microsoft, submitting them to some of the PG, the product group members who are developing this solution daily and work hard at developing this solution. That is one step we could take that could fall under Day 12 celebration of achievements. And the one thing I do want to celebrate, hopefully on this next demo, if I get to get to work, I want to celebrate the festive season with Arc by exploring the fun and creative scenarios that it can enable, such as running Minecraft server on Kubernetes, or creating a digital advent calendar, or better yet, deploying rock, paper, scissors, Spock, lizard. That is pretty cool. I haven't decided what demo I'm going to do next, but I know it's going to be either Minecraft or it's going to be rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock. Anyway, so I think that's pretty much it on Day 12. I guess I continue. I'm going to go and click next with my demo. That sounds good to me, right? Maybe. If I could remember what button to press in the video. So this presentation, as I close, we delved into the multifaceted capabilities of Azure Arc, exploring its centralized management that unifies operations across on-premises, multi-cloud, and edge environments. We touched upon the seamless integration and management of Kubernetes clusters and data services, Azure Arc's facilitation of elastic scaling, and its application update features without downtime. We covered the financial and security benefits provided by Azure Hybrid Benefits and extended security updates, the promotion of innovation through integrated data and AI tools, and the secure and governed multi-cloud strategy Azure Arc enables. Additionally, we discussed the creation of custom locations for flexible service deployment, the enhanced user experience with one-click deployments, and the Azure Arc Jumpstart project. Finally, we highlighted the comprehensive monitoring and insights into application health and performance, underscoring Azure Arc's role as a pivotal tool in modern IT management. I want to thank you for your time. I spent a lot of time from my house to your house. We hope you have a wonderful holiday season. If you have any questions at all, reach me up at LinkedIn, ping me on Teams, my website, christopherjturner.me, or thisismydemo.com. Look forward to more sessions like this in the future. If you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area on the 14th of December, I will be doing this session live. Hope to see you there. Thanks for your time again, and have a good day. But wait, there is more. Bonus time. What is bonus time? Bonus time is where I am going to sing the entire song to you. Yes, my gift to you is earmuffs. Hopefully they come before you start listening to this. Hopefully. Azure gave to me a partridge in a pear tree. Centralized management for I can see. The second day of Arc, Miss Archer gifted me 2 turtle doves and clusters for our data most freely. and a partridge in a pear tree. On the third day of Artemis, Azure said to me, 3 French hens, data services, run with gravity spree, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 4th day of Artemis, Azure presented to me 5 golden rings, cost optimization, savings, treasury, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 6th day of Artemis, Azure showed to me 6 geese laying innovations desk where we grow our team. 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 7th day of Artemis, Azure shared with me 7 swans a swimming, governance in the cloud, secure as can be, 6 geese a-laying, 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 8th day of Artemis, Azure offered me 8 maids of milking, custom locations with scuba dive skis, 7 swans swimming, 6 geese a-laying, 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 9th day of Artemis, Azure delivered to me 9 ladies dancing, user experience smooth and hassle-free, 8 maids of milking, 7 swans a swimming, 6 geese a-laying, 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 10th day of Artemis, Azure aligned for me 10 lords of leaping, multi-cloud connecting in harmony, 9 ladies dancing, 8 maids of milking, 7 swans swimming, 6 geese a-laying, 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 11th day of Artemis, Azure ensured for me 11 pipers piping, muttering insights as clear as can be, 10 lords a leaping, 9 maids a dancing, 8 maids milking, 7 swans a swimming, 6 geese a laying, 4 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 12th day of Artemis, Azure celebrated me. 12 drummers drumming, success and festivities with Azure Arc glee. 11 fibers fighting, 2 lords of leaping, 9 ladies dancing, 8 maids a milking, 7 swans a swimming, 6 geese a laying, 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. I don't know why it's continuing. Why is the music continuing? Does it mean I sing it again? Oh, I don't know. But there's like 47 seconds left on the song. Maybe it's the chorus. Am I missing the chorus? I don't know. But maybe I gotta sing the whole song again. One more time for y'all. Maybe not. Anyway, that was it. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoy your holidays. Thank you for watching. And I hope to see some of you soon.